Hey, Stanton Moore here, and I am going to be talking to you today about flam control and about how we can play softer grace notes or louder grace notes and also adjust the spacing in between the grace note and the accent to get all kinds of different musical variations that we can apply to the drum set. I want to say I really appreciate you checking out this video. There are only about 2% of y'all that watch these videos that are actually subscribed. So if you could do me a huge favor, it would help me a lot if you could just take a second and hit that subscribe button, and that's really going to make it so I can keep bringing you videos like this one. So let's start by looking at just regular flams. Let me just play some right-handed flams so that you can hear what these sound like when I'm playing the grace note and the accent super tight together. Now, you can adjust that volume and bring that grace note up and get louder. That's one variation that we can do. So it's interesting to note that if you're going to play on the drum set, and say maybe you're putting your left hand on the snare and playing your right hand on the floor tom, it's quite often common to play these as double stops. So right now, let me just put on one of these Vic Firth rubber tips. I use these for practicing all the time. So let's just imagine that if I'm over here on a floor tom, I'm playing those as double stops and I'm playing those at the same volume and I'm playing them together spatially. Now, conversely, we could split up that spacing, and if you're playing the right hand on the floor tom again, you could make it so that the backbeat almost sounds delayed. So you're going to play the right hand on the beat, and then you can make the left hand sound delayed. Now you can really open that up if you want to. This can also come in very handy when you're applying this to grooves. So you could put the right hand on the hi-hat, and then you could play a super tight flam so that your left hand backbeat gives the illusion of being behind the beat. I'll start off playing these together, and then I'll start to separate that spacing so that you can start to hear how that backbeat is starting to sound a little bit behind the beat. Now you don't want to do that too much, just a little bit goes a long way with that, but you can really experiment with that. And in the context of the music, sometimes you don't pick up on that separation. It just sounds like the backbeat is nice and full. So now, being aware that you could play these as double stops, or you can open them back up to flams, let's check out experimenting with the space in between the notes. And we're going to work through, kind of morph through the spectrum, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to apply this concept to flam accents, okay? Hand-to-hand flam accents. And I'm going to start off playing these pretty tight, and then I'm going to start opening up that space between the grace note and the accent. Now, one of my favorite things to do is to play flam accents all off the left hand. This works great on the kit, and we're going to show how you can take that and use that as the basis for the blushta, and then we can really experiment with how we're playing the flams on the blushta. But right now, let me just play you the left-handed flam accents, and that's the way I refer to it, and let me just play that for you and show you what that is. Now I'm going to take that and I'm going to gradually increase the volume of the grace note. Now, once we make that grace note almost the same volume as that left hand accent, then we can really start opening up the spacing, and I can go through and morph through the spectrum so that we get a left-handed flam accent, and then morph that into what we call the herta. Now, if you take that left-handed flam accent and you put a diddle in the middle, and the diddle will be on the second triplet partial, and it'll be played with the right hand, this is going to make the blushta. So let me just play you how we can write the blushta. Now I'm going to play that again, but I'm going to morph through the spectrum so that I'll start increasing the volume of my right-handed grace note, and then I'll start widening that space in between the grace note and the accent, and we'll start getting somewhere in between a left-hand flam accent phrasing and a herta phrasing. So let me play some hand-to-hand flams right now, and I'm going to experiment with opening up that space in between the grace note and the accent, just to kind of show you what you can do. And this can be pretty effective on the drum set. You may not want to play flams this open on a drum line or in a concert percussion kind of situation, but in a drum set context, this can be very effective. So sometimes when I'm playing flams in a hand-to-hand context, I might open things up a little bit just to make it sound a little bit looser. Now I could also put my rubber tip back on here, and I could pretend like I was playing the right hand on the floor tom, and we could do these more as double stops. So now let me show you with flam taps how we could open up the flams a little bit as well. And you could hear in that I started swinging those big doubles, and that really kind of just made things sound a little bit looser and just kind of opened things up. You may not want to do that all the time, but it's something that you might want to have control over so that you can express yourself in a musical way with these flams. Now, I will definitely utilize this opening up of things when I'm doing my kind of modified flam tap train beat. So what that is you just don't play the left-handed grace note before the right note, and then it's kind of a flam tap, but not a full flam tap. Now it sounds like this. Now that could be maybe a little bit too precise and clean sounding for some train beats that I want to go after. So I might open that up a little bit. And then I will definitely apply more of these open flams when I am playing some New Orleans second line stuff. So here's kind of a New Orleans second line groove that I might play. This is definitely coming from inspiration of Johnny Vodakovich. But when I'm playing these flams, I'm trying to play them nice and open and loose. Now, Conversely, if I was going to play that too tight, it just might sound a little bit too uptight and a little bit too precise for what I'm going for. That sounds pretty hokey and corny to me. So I'm definitely trying to open up those flams, and I want to have control over that so that I can apply this musically for the context that I find myself in. So a fill that I play a lot is a left-handed flam accent followed by sextuplets. And this makes a really nice 3-note phrase, and that sounds like this. So let me slow that down, and I'm going to play that with very tight flams. Now, I might want to open up those flams, especially if I'm going around the toms. So imagine I'm going around the toms. I might want to really open those up. So I'm going to move this out the way, and I'm going to put on my Vic Firth rubber tip sticks. And I love these things because I can practice anywhere. So imagine I'm working my way around the toms. So I might want to play this like this. And you could hear that I'm opening up those flams a little bit more. You could even open them more than that. And I really exaggerated that at the end. But just kind of trying to show you how you can really express these different kinds of variations in the spacing of the flams to get musically creative. So hopefully you dug this lesson and got something out of it. And don't forget, you can get a free PDF of some of this material by clicking that link in the description. And please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so I can keep bringing you lessons and behind the scenes videos. I'll see you down the line. Yes, indeed.